Welcome or welcome back to Pope's Plates. Today we're going to make an interesting recipe that is made with cheese ravioli. I made this probably the first time 30 years ago or so. I had not been able to find my college roommate for a long time after college. Our lives went in different directions. And I actually did a Google search, found her, called her, and we made plans to meet and catch up after we had been separated for a good long time, and we now see each other on a pretty regular basis. But she loved this recipe, so I thought I'll make it for you all today. The first thing we do is to slice shallots, whatever, as thinly as we can, and we're going to separate the rings. And then we're going to fry them until they're crisp in a little bit of olive oil. I'm going to do all of my cutting first so that when we move to the stove, I'm not going to be walking back and forth too much. Getting the skins off of the shallots, it's not always easy. Shallots have a much milder onion flavor and make a really good accompaniment for things that you don't want just a huge amount of onion flavor in. Okay, I think that is going to be enough. I'm going to separate these rings a little bit and put them on a plate so that they're ready to go in the oil when I heat that up. The next thing we're going to do is to cut red pepper in very, very thin strips. That adds a beautiful color to this dish. They're going to saute briefly in the same oil that the onions have been cooked in. Then the final thing we add is a can of corn that I have already drained and a yellow tomato. But I couldn't find a yellow tomato, probably because it is January and we're in the South and all of our produce is brought in this time of year. So I have a very light red tomato instead. But I'm going to cut this as thinly as I can. I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons maybe of olive oil. Get the heat on here. And I'll let that get hot because when I put the onions in, I want them to fry pretty quickly. But be careful, don't let them burn because that's not going to be a good thing. We've got these separated into rings. The smaller pieces of shallot didn't separate very well, but the larger pieces did, so I hope that's all going to work out okay. Charlie, you don't like onion. I don't think you like onion. The oil is hot enough now for me to put these onions in. I'm going to stir them around just a little bit. I don't want them to get burned. While these onions are frying, I'm going to go ahead and add the cheese ravioli. This is store-bought cheese ravioli. I didn't make this. I'm adding it to boiling water, and it needs to cook for about 7 minutes. I better put that in the other direction. I'm making enough for Jennifer and me to have for dinner tonight. Not cooking the whole package because that's more than we need to eat. Okay, I'm going to turn this heat back down. The onions I'm going to put on a paper towel to drain. And I think I'm going to add a little bit more olive oil to my pan here because I'm going to be adding the red pepper, the tomato, and a drained can of whole kernel corn. We want these peppers to cook for a little bit. Oh, that sounds nice. Tomatoes in there. The heat is not up too high, but you don't want the red peppers to be completely raw when you cook them. They do need to saute for just a little bit. This is also breaking down the tomatoes a bit. So I've got it on medium-high heat. Let's see how these ravioli are doing. They were pretty cold, so I'm going to turn that heat up a little bit to get them boiling. Yeah, we're going to want to cook this maybe for 3 or 4 minutes over medium-high, just to take the crunch out of that red pepper. I'm going to go ahead and add the corn at this point so that it has an opportunity to heat up completely. Now, this has been well drained, so there should be no liquid in it. We're going to cook this again for 3 or 4 minutes, and our pasta should be done by then, and we'll be back with you at that point. I'm going to add some Parm cheese to this. Yeah, there we go. That's going to thicken the little bit of the sauce that's made from the tomatoes as they break down. And we'll certainly add a good deal more when we add the pasta. Now let's see how this does. I think I'll put some more in there while the pasta is completing its cooking. They're beginning to float to the top of the water, which is a sign that they're done. These are pretty stringy pieces of cheese. Okay, this is looking really nice. Oh, and you can see sort of the bits of cheese that are in here. They're melting, little strings of cheese. All right, this looks like it's done. I'm just going to drain them from the water and add them to my pot here. Yeah, I think this is a perfect amount for Jennifer and me to have for dinner. I think if I'd fixed the entire package, it would have been way too much pasta for us. And turn the heat off. Now, let's get this stirred up. Ooh, that looks so pretty. The recipe calls for salt and pepper to taste. I salted the water for the pasta really well. The corn also is not low sodium. We're not big salt eaters in our family, so I'm going to add just a pinch of salt and a little bit of pepper. I think the pepper would show up nicely on this dish, and I think it would add a little bit of punch of flavor, so let me get that. Just a pinch of salt, not much.
More pepper.
More pepper. And if you've heard Jennifer talk, Jennifer is a big pepper lover. So that's probably maybe a half teaspoon of pepper. That's really pretty. And it does, it gives a nice look. All right, the final thing we'll do here is to add our onions. These were fried in a little bit of olive oil till they were a little crispy. And we're going to add some additional cheese to the top. If you fix this recipe and you like it, please let us know in the comments below. We invite you to like our channel and subscribe to it. And until we see you again, let's keep cooking.